Saigon business shoutouts for this episode are for Mila Mushroom's New York Pizza in Taodian District 2. Get the supreme pizza and taste the dream. Nutrinuts in District 2, where you can get top quality organic nuts and non dairy milk. Cholo Tequila Bar in District 2, where you can party with the Latino community in Saigon. Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of the Look Saigon podcast, where your voice can be heard. This time we are joined by Helpful Hawk, a coach and healer based in Kentucky, USA. This guest is someone who is certified in RTT. This is Rapid Transformational Therapy, a method created by the world famous hypnotherapist Marissa Peer. Helpful Hawk's own life journey has been extremely challenging to say the least, but he has been able to alchemize his suffering into the blooming of something amazing. I can honestly say that his self-awareness exceeds my own, and I am so grateful to have him on the show. Enjoy, guys. Wow. All right. Hello, sir. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Nick. It's great to see you face to face.
Yes. I want to ask you, which country are you calling us from today?
I am in the state of Kentucky in the United States.
Oh, Kentucky. Actually, I'm from Virginia.
Awesome.
I grew up there, but my family is from Peru, actually. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, yeah, so you said you work in RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy, but you were also a psychologist before you learned about that method, right?
No, I have studied the human mind since the age of 12. Uh, and my father was a pastor,
Mm,
and he basically had the equivalent of at least a master's degree, if not a PhD in divinity, and
mm,
actually taught at Lexington Baptist College. And his mentor, who actually taught him a great deal, had a used bookstore. And he gave me my first book of yoga. He gave me my first Isaac Asimov. And one of the things he gave me was my first book of psychology,
mm.
which my father, when he found it, threw it away.
Why?
Well, that's not biblical. So, but come to find out it's very Jesus, but it's not very biblical here as
Mm-mm.
far as today's interpretation. And I'm not knocking on anybody's religion. That got me into the human mind, and over the years, going through my own trials and tribulations, and continuing to study and moving through shamanism and different things, looking to heal me, I found out that I could help other people, and people
Mm,
constantly came to me for advice. So finally, I found a way to be certified without having to go through today's standard methods, even
mm.
though I still study today's standard methods. So
What do you think the average person should know about the human mind?
you are not your mind. It is the mind is something you can observe. Anytime you're sitting back and you're like, wow, why am I thinking this? You're observing your mind. You aren't your mind.
Mm,
So when you're dealing with the mind, you can deal with it on the conscious level, you can deal with it on the subconscious level or the unconscious level. But it's just a matter of, can I observe it? Can I sit in the park and watch the dog walk by, or do I have to interact with the dog walking by?
mm,
It's a it's an interesting thing. We're all energetic beings inhabiting these bodies, and this body essentially is the subconscious mind. It's the record, kind of like the USB drive, if you
nice.
will, of the universe recording us. So the mind itself is just the way of, it's like the operating system interacting with the universal energy between our observation and the experience.
Like, what can we do? Like, so, like, let's say, like, okay, I stop identifying with my mind, with my thoughts. So like, I'm intellectually aware that okay, my thoughts are not me, my mind is not me. But throughout the day, I'm still getting these triggers. Like, why does that keep happening?
Okay, so You have the conscious mind, which is where we're acting now, which is
Mm.
about 40 to 100 bits per second. That's a pretty good processing rate. Then you have the subconscious mind, which is where the operating system is sitting, that operates between 4 and 10 million bits per second. Then you have the unconscious mind, which is who knows how many trillions of bits per second. That's the subconscious mind is the operating system. The unconscious mind is like the computer itself. So all of these things, you've got, say, your firewalls up, your ego, and that's designed to keep us safe. That's designed to keep us from eating the red berries that are poisonous,
Mm.
or run from the sound of the saber-toothed tiger so it doesn't eat us, or whatever. So what happens? We get triggered. When that trigger happens, these little things happen, and we don't know what triggers us. It could be the smell of the old lady's perfume. It could be the way that old man looked at you. It could just be simply the lighting, and you notice the way a flower looked. It could be something in traffic, all these little things. So when you get caught in that spiral, just go and breathe slowly,
Mm.
because our body wants the reassurance. Our ego wants the reassurance. And if we're breathing slowly, obviously we're not in a state of panic. We're not being chased by the saber-toothed tiger. So just
Mhm.
simply breathe is one thing, one strategy.
Now that you say that, it feels like just breathing could even rewire you, right? Could like take away that fear.
Well, it can, and you can also add what we call affirmations. Now, remember, a lot of people think affirmations are positive. Affirmations is just making something firm.
Mm.
So you can positively affirm something or negatively affirm something. I can positively affirm that I'm grateful every moment of the day. Or
Hmm.
I can negatively affirm, oh, I've got a horrible memory, and then wonder why I can't. Oh, I've got just a horrible memory. Well, my subconscious mind has no context of joking or anything like that.
Right.
So anything you're saying positively or negatively, you're directly operating the system and
Mm.
you're programming that in. So when you're using that breathing technique,
Mm.
I'm grateful, I'm grateful, I'm grateful, and visualizing or visioning, which is more of feeling it totally, bringing that gratitude into you, letting it flow through you and letting it flow back out in a symbiotic relationship, kind of like the clownfish and the anemone. They're
Hmm.
constantly working with each other, and so you let that gratitude work through you, or happiness, or anything. I'll tell you this, working with gratitude, my favorite statement, people say, how are you? And I'm like, I'm grateful, happy, joyful, and thankful. My day begins with attitude, with gratitude. Takes me into happiness, because you cannot be unhappy and grateful at the same time.
True.
And when you're happy, that takes you into joy. And then at the end of the day, you look back and I've been happy and grateful and joyful all day. Now I'm thankful for that. So if you begin and end with gratitude,
Mm.
it sounds OCD to have it in alphabetical order in English, but it is. And if you constantly work from a state of gratitude, you're going to be happy. You're going to experience joy. You have no choice in the matter. Your body is just going to feel that, you
Hmm.
know, just like, hey, I gave you the greatest Christmas present ever, your favorite video game or your favorite pair of shoes or whatever. That
Hmm.
gratitude is going to build in you. The
True.
secret is, how do we get past the blocks that have been put there by parents who didn't have an operating manual to be able to teach us to begin with,
Hmm. Hmm.
or the culture scape or school or religion or bullies or, whoever, or that one case of incidents where somebody beat the heck out of me. How do you get past that? Because your
Mm.
subconscious mind is constantly putting that out there. Where's the threat? Where's the threat? Where's the threat?
Mm.
How do I get past the threat mode? And that's where I come.
Right. Nice. Yeah. So how would you walk someone through that, like through that healing process?
Okay, well, I'm a trauma recovery coach, and
Mm.
I've been certified as a rapid transformational therapist. I'm Marissa Peer, my teacher. started off working with Jane Fonda years ago, and she kept noticing women. The trend in Hollywood was women would come in and they would work and work and work and work and work, and they'd get their body looking the way they wanted, and they'd be having everything the way they wanted, and then they'd come back 6 months later and they were even bigger than before. And she's like, "What's the deal? Why isn't it sticking?"
Mm.
And she realized this is a subconscious behavior. So she started studying, and she has used her experience of studying under different hypnotherapists to come up with rapid transformational therapy. Now, in today's world, people don't like the term therapy
True.
because therapists sit and talk like we're talking right now. Your standard therapy session takes place right here where we're talking. This is the level we're perceiving the problem existing or situation. So if the situation is perceived at this level, then how do we get around it? Well, we go into the subconscious mind. We find out where it's sitting in the subconscious mind. Then we take that, we look at the emotions attached to it. What job is that doing for us?
Mm.
How is that keeping us safe?
Mm.
If I can unlock the emotional attachment to it, then it's just a story. Just like I said, I was raped. Okay, I was. But when I first came to me as a realization, that was sledgehammer blow. All the drinking, all the sex, all the drugs, everything, hurt people, hurting people, hurt people, hurt people. And that's part of incarnating on this planet.
Can I ask you, like,
And
how challenging was it to like let go of the that whatever like toxic things you were consuming, whether I don't know if you were consuming like I don't know alcohol or I don't know what it was.
my primaries were nicotine, marijuana, well, tobacco, marijuana, and alcohol. I snorted a couple of lines of coke about 5 or 6 years ago. I went to a wedding, thought I was snorting a line of cocaine. Ended up working with one of the guys that was at the wedding as a uh, client later on, and found out it was like an 8-inch line of methamphetamine, which
Oh,
thank God that my body didn't want it. That's the power of belief there. I believed it was cocaine. And
ah,
so, if my body thought it was coke, it was coke. You know, I mean, I was like, I'm going to be up for about an hour. This is going to be fun. And a half hour later, I was passed out on the ground, and they were helping me get back to the house.
damn.
You know, yeah. And, but I never shot anything. I did some acid. I've done some mushrooms,
Mm.
mostly where I have gone for getting into trance before I found that meditation is the way is through trance dancing.
Mm.
I was very much into heavy metal and punk music. In fact, the punks said I danced psychedelic commando, and a lot of the pagans I used to dance with said I danced like a drunken pirate.
Cool.
Um, yeah, so the can't remember what they call them in the Middle East, where they
Sufis.
dervish.
Ah, right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that gets you into a particular state, and you let go of the body. Now that
Mm.
I've learned meditation, there are still challenges, but I let go of the body, and I can move into the subconscious mind at will, and
Mm.
that helps me. And all of the things that I've learned and all of those experiences have focused down to where now we're having this conversation,
Mm.
and the different tools in the box. I've literally helped people move energy out of their body,
Mm.
and didn't realize what I was doing with the education I had now. I see how that energy moves, but I didn't know at the time. I was just working from straight intuition, and most of the time we were both in a state of extreme inebriation,
Mm.
like extreme alcohol, tobacco, and often marijuana, at least in my case,
Mm.
which just gets us to let go of all the inhibitions. Learning to consciously let go of those inhibitions. Now, that's the secret. And that's where I work with my clients.
Nice. Because we have so many blocks, right? And then when we have a shot of tequila, they're like, oh, I feel so loose now.
Yeah. Well, here's one thing too with hypnosis. A lot of people, and I'm glad you brought that up, a lot of people see hypnosis on a stage and they think, oh, I'm going to be out of control, or they see movies. The only way I can get a person to do something against their morals, ethics, values, or principles is if I put them through extreme torture like the MK Ultra we've heard rumors of or something like that.
Mm.
If in a state of hypnosis, I command you to do something that's not something you would do after one or two drinks, then I can't get you to do it, and you're going to come straight out of trance. You know, the girl you see up there faking the orgasm, or the guy that's humping the uh, fire hydrant like a dog, those are people that want to be seen. They want attention. They want to feel real. And so when they go into that stage trance, that stage hypnotist can get them to do practically anything, because these people at a party, 3, 4 beers in, 2 or 3 drinks in, you know, you tell that girl, hey, go show that guy your boobs. She will. Or, hey man, why don't you streak and jump in the pool in the middle in front of everybody? And they will. You know, I've been that guy. You know, I've been that guy. I mean, I used to drink, I get drunk, I black out. People would say the next day, tell that story, sing that song, man. What was that joke you told? You were the life of the party, dude.
Right.
And, you know, now then, I'm very careful or full of care, but I can still be the life of the party. I just don't have to be wasted to do it.
Right. Yeah, I've had some experiences where like people tell me like, "Hey, your birthday party was so fun," and I'll be like, "I wish I could remember." This happened like 2 times before.
Yeah, well, I've got some decades that are hazy.
I wanted to ask you about Marissa Peer. What was it about her that made you feel that you can trust her teachings?
By the end of 18, I'm going through the dark night of the soul.
That's early.
Yeah. So go through 18, go through 19. I found Melanie Tanya Evans' Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program, which is an excellent program. And I suggest, I'm currently working on my own program specifically because I have learned. I started off doing brain surgery with a dull hatchet. Now I've got angel guided laser surgery.
Hmm.
But went through 19, come into 20. I said, I want to join Mind Valley. And when
Mm.
we started getting those stimulus checks, instead of saying, hey, I'm going to pay off my bills, and that's what I was going to do, I was like, hold on. If I pay off my bills, I can pay off this percentage of my bills, and they're still going to be there. What's the best use I can do for this money? I'm sitting on it. I sat on it for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I joined Mind Valley.
Mm.
And one day I'm sitting, and a thing comes up in the feed, and I forget where it was. I think it was in Facebook, where Vishen Lakhiani is talking to Marissa Peer.
Yeah.
And it's pre-recorded. And I'd worked with some pre-recorded hypnosis and things like that. But she walks him through this hypnotrance. And I'm like, whoa, because I'm sitting there going through it with them. I'm not just watching, I'm the participator too. And we were invited to do so. It's a master class, you know.
Mm.
And I'm like, hold on. If she can do this on a pre-recorded video, she can teach me to do this.
Hmm.
And so I looked up rapid transformational therapy and used quite a bit of my stimulus money to join and make payments over the course of, it took me about 9 months to complete. And
Yo.
I specifically used all but about $400, well, I'd say about $800 of those stimulus packages to personal development and education. I used some of it to take me and my sons out, have some
Hmm.
fun, and I helped Dad get some repairs at the house. But you know, most of it was spent there and learning. I mean, just I looked her up on different things and found her and was watching and was like, you know, this woman's got something,
Yep.
and she can give it to me, and I'll give her my money, which was right about 10 grand for her to give it to me. And I had looked into Dolores Cannon's QHHT and all these different modalities, but something about Marissa spoke to me, and it wasn't the rapid part, it was the transformational part.
Mm.
You know, I was in transforming it, and yes, things can happen rapidly, but it was the transformation. I'm a Scorpio, the phoenix rising from the ashes is a consistent theme in my life. So that transformation, how can I transform from being this piece of crap? How can I quit being an example of how not to be and start being the example of how to be?
Mm.
And that was, and I remember drunken, riotous, screaming at God, cussing out, look, I'm done with this. I'm done with being like this, pouring down rain, lightning flashing, chugging like, I think like 4 quarts of beer that night, just, you know, soaked, it's walking up and down the sidewalk in front of the house, literally in my boxers, screaming and cussing God out for doing this to me. Hey, UMF, instead of this, instead of using me as the example of how not to be and everybody hating me and me hating me, start using me as an example of how to be and how can I do this. And I've been led step by step by step by step by step. And Marissa's one of the stops.
Damn. Was that the first time you had asked to be transformed like that?
Oh no, no, I've literally had the gun in my mouth, stood on the side of the cliff and stood on the side of the bridge, knowing I was a horrible swimmer. And every time it was something that stopped me. Standing on the cliff was like, I'm a crappy diver. This is 80 feet. If I don't land and pop the melon, my parents are going to have to deal with me as an invalid, and I'm not doing that to them. That was the one that kept me from doing it. But yeah, when I was involved with the marriage as a security guard, I was on a temporary assignment, and I was standing up, literally looking into the Ohio River at flood stage, knowing that if I jump down in there and I don't swim, I'll be, they'll find my body, but I couldn't do that to my sons.
Mm. Is that what stopped you from all the other like thoughts about ending it? Just like this might be painful to my loved ones.
That, and if you want me off this ride, you got to take me off.
True.
You know, if you want me to get off the Ferris wheel or you want me to get off the roller coaster, you got to. That's my attitude now. You got to take me off, and it always came back to, I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping.
Mm.
You're going to have to stop me. I was in my combat sport, and we do field battles. You
Hmm.
know, they'd be like, Hawk, see over there, we're going to put you in front of these guys. Make sure you get a hole going. Guys, when he makes that hole, because he's going to make one, when he makes that hole, you'll bust that hole open. When we were doing medieval combat, and it was like, I
Cool.
always made the hole. And I'd tell them, guys, I'm going to fall down. Run over top of me. I'm wearing armor. Just push me through. When I fall, keep going. And I've literally had the people that were in charge say, Hawk, sit down. You're done for the day. Because I would not stop. I would go back to the point and do the resurrection thing and start over again.
Cool.
And they're like, Hawk, you're done for the day. Yes, sir. I can't run anymore today. Nope. And you better not be playing pickups afterwards. You better not be. You're done. Go pop your armor. Pop your top. Take your helmet off. Take your armor off. You're done for the day. I see you in armor. You're done for the year. Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am. And I've applied that every step of the way.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say like congratulations because it's like what you've done is not easy. Like that must be really that's a big challenge.
I walk into it every day.
Hmm. It
There's people that
continues,
say,
right?
well, the vision, like I do Ananda Marga meditation, which was handed down by Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar or Sri Sri Ananda Murti. But I also I've learned all these different bits and pieces that I put into it, but Vishen Nakiani of Mind Valley fame came up with the 6-phase meditation.
Dude, okay, wait, before you continue the story, I have to tell you that
Please.
you're the first spontaneous person I've met that's also on Mind Valley, because I also am on Mind Valley, actually. And I took one of their courses, I just finished recently. It was the life coaching certification course. So like we've been on a pretty some similar content like learning experiences. That's pretty awesome. It feels like synchronicity right now.
It is.
Dude, that's
I'm
awesome.
looking into my own eyes. You just happen to be, my own eyes happen to be
Exactly.
12,000 miles away. Namaskar.
Let's go.
Okay, so you know about Vishen's 6-phase
Yes. Yep.
meditation. And the third phase of it is forgiveness. You
Right.
go
It
through
is.
the compassion, you go through gratitude, then you walk straight into forgiveness.
Yeah.
And I literally do that every single day.
Mm.
And when I was doing the narcissistic abuse recovery program, I had the headphones on, and the phone was laying there with the headphones already plugged in. And if there was a point where it was between 10 and 12 days, and if I was awake, I had those headphones plugged in, and I had the theta waves going, and I had a
Mm.
NARP session going, and at one point, my body was twisting top and bottom like this and throwing me up off the floor about almost a foot. And my ego's literally screaming, "We're going to die." And I'm like, then let it go. Because there's only
Mm.
one way out of this. You either let it go or we die. But I'm not living like this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Either let it go or die. I don't care I don't care what we do. Because I know if the body dies, I don't die. The spirit's still there. But if you want to continue in this body, either let it go or the body dies. There ain't no in between. And I was literally crawling to the bathroom to be able to pee.
Mm-hmm.
It was extremely physical painful. I call it a forced, focused, self-imposed nervous breakdown.
Wow.
I literally went into my nervous system and rebuilt it.
Right. And it has to
And
get reset, and that reset is what scares the hell out of it.
a lot of people. And that's why, I was started off with doing brain surgery with a Dell hatchet. Now I've got angel guided laser surgery,
Mm.
and I've got all these tools, and I can very gently walk somebody through their own hell to the point where they come out the other side.
Dude, that's
And
awesome.
then provide them with a recording that they listen to morning and evening or 3 times a day to reinforce that, to
Mm-hmm.
keep that going in their mind so that they're reprogrammed from the inside out on a daily basis, because the mind
True.
learns by repetition, and just keep that going. And I've learned how to find the broken-hearted child in a person,
Mm.
because every one of us has one, and teach that child how to love itself enough that it can love me back, and I can love it. And I go find my inner child every day. Hey, what do you need to do?
Right.
People have told me, you go places angel spirited tread, and I'm friends with Michael and Gabriel, and they're like, there ain't no place for it to tread. You know, contrary to popular belief, there ain't no place angel spirit to tread. And so
Mm,
if they
right.
ain't afraid to go there, then I ain't afraid to go there.
That's true. That's awesome. Yeah, I have some questions for you from one of my friends here in Vietnam. Her name is Shasha, so shout out to Shasha.
Scar shush.
She wanted to ask you, what does your daily routine look like?
Well, it depends on the day. My daily routine on the days when I'm working, specifically what I'm working on, I wake up and immediately go, thank you. Well, usually I'm coming out of a dream, so I'll roll over, grab the pen, and start writing in the dream journal with a feeling of gratitude, and then a thank you dream. Thank you. I do some laying yoga postures in bed before I get up. When I go and do my toilet, as we call it. Then I come in, I'll sit down, start into my meditation. If I'm doing it without my headphones on, I'm just doing it straight. That's cool. Most of the time, I have some particular things that I found on YouTube. I've got one that's got theta waves. I've got a frequency set, which currently the frequency I'm using is 1111. And
Nice.
then, yeah, and then I've got one that is specifically around healing the body and mind that I'm listening to, and those are low in the background. And then I've got one that is specifically, I wouldn't know how to describe it actually, but the visual on it is very much a spiral, spiraling out, the constant expansion. And so that's the main one. And then after meditation, I go into start things for my breakfast, and while that's warming up, I study Spanish.
Nice.
Then, yeah, estudio todos los días para 8 años cuando la aplicaciones de teléfono.
Impresionante,
Eh,
impresionante.
Gracias, gracias. Oh, hermano, hermano. Then I will do, I've got reading, which I do specifically. I love this book. I'm rereading it for the third or fourth time every day.
It's a
Then
365 self-talk, right? It got kind of blurred out when you put it up.
365 Days of Positive Self-Talk by
Ah,
Shad Helmstetter.
nice, nice.
Awesome book. And Helmstetter was a very awesome, if you do your like book, which I highly suggest you do your like book, Missy Bush will mention it.
Okay,
And I had already heard about it, but she mentioned it. Then
nice.
I read in this every day, which is 101
Mm.
Things I Wish I Knew Before I Started Hypnosis by Dabney Ewan. So, that's a kind of a reinforcing thing in professional development. My sister gave me this book, so I will flip it open and read randomly.
Nice. Just find your mantra by who was that?
Uh, Ayselgunar. I'm presuming Aysel or Aysel Gunar.
Okay.
Who knows? Who knows? She's an incredible little author, and I flip through there and every day. This one is a book I recently got by Deepak Chopra,
Nice.
and I read in it every day. It's Creating Affluence, Wealth Consciousness in the Field of All Possibilities. And
Mhm.
one thing I like about it is he points out that we are responsible for creating wealth. And if you remember in the Bible, Jesus talks about the story of the talents and how these two servants were given money or talents, and they went out and multiplied the talents. And the one who didn't, his talent was taken away.
Mm-mm.
And then one of my favorites that always travels with me is Striking Thoughts by Bruce Lee. And it's his everyday
Oh,
wisdom for, it's literally called Bruce Lee's Wisdom for Daily Living. And I read in it every day.
awesome.
And so then I will get out my life book and I read, which this is my portable version, and I read my, oops, that's not it. This is my portable life book. And
Uh-huh.
I read my life vision every day,
Uh-huh.
which is, front and back page. And then I've got some specific affirmations based on chakras that I read every day.
Uh-huh.
And I'll sit back down and I will go through my habits towards goals, where I'm
Mhm.
keeping and tracking my habits on the days when I'm not working my, hey, I've got to have this to eat job. Um, I sit and working on my website, working on learning more. How can I make, I started my YouTube channel and my Facebook so that I can start adding more value to others. Hey, here's a lesson. Hey, here's a guided hypnosis, or I call it metanosis,
Mm.
because I work to get somebody to the meditative state in the hypnotic state so that they're at that deep theta state as opposed to beta. Because just as an aside, until about the age of 8, a child's mind is in the theta state,
Damn.
which is just absorbing everything. So if I can encourage that and get you into that theta state, then I'm teaching your mind just as if you were a child. So I call it metanosis because it is a guided meditation, but I'm specifically working to get you into that theta state to where your mind is just absorbing it like a sponge.
That's awesome.
And the clients I've worked with just like they love their
Damn.
recordings.
It makes sense now why kids learn so fast and also why they have like new beliefs installed so quickly. Like they're just in that stage where they're absorbing everything.
And it's not taught in the culture scape. Certain places you can find little pockets of it. But now that I know, I'm looking at marrying again, possibly being a father again, but at least working with children, from a young age and teaching parents how to teach their children. You know, never say to your child, don't do this. I don't want you to get hurt, because their mind is stopping it. I don't want you. After that, their mind is not there anymore. All they hear is, don't do this. I don't want you. Well, how many times have you said, don't cross the street without me. I don't want you to get hurt. And all the child hears is, don't cross the street without me. I don't want you. Or, I don't want you to get hurt. Don't cross the street without me. And all that, then that child's mind stops at you.
True.
Because that's the focus. They're their focus.
Yeah.
Everything's coming into their focus. So their focus is stopping at you. They don't have capability. My mom teasing with me as a child, one of the wounds I went into, I get this really excited thing and people can see it in my eyes. And my mom would say, the devil dances in your eyes. I thought the devil lived in me. Dad's a preacher, mom's a preacher, or dad's a pastor, mom's a pastor's daughter. They ought to know where the devil lives.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm going to Christian school and they're teaching me about the devil, and mom's telling me the devil's dancing in my eyes. Well, obviously the devil lives in me.
Yeah, that's not fair for the kid, man.
Right. So if you take your adult consciousness out of the equation, meet them where they are.
Yeah.
Now you can instill beliefs that are positive. Okay, so instilling those beliefs, and I work on that with myself every day. Now, you asked about my day. Okay, so on the days when I'm not got to go somewhere else to bring in abundance or abundant affluence, as we say, or money or whatever, I will do yoga asanas, and then every other day I do strength training. My belief from being an athlete and into martial sport for so long is eat like an ape, train like an ape, because my body is an ape. So I don't work upper body one day, lower body the next day. I work the whole body one day, and then I rest it one day. Because if you watch apes, they work their whole bodies one day, moving to a new place, and then they sit and spend a day resting and eating, and then they will move over here and they're climbing and all this stuff, and they use their whole body every day. So I do that. I make sure I work all the body systems. Then I'll eat. I read. I will tell you this, Mind Valley, take the quick reading. Take the quick reading. Yeah, I'm reading at about 1,000 words a minute.
Nice.
Yeah, I like the taste of language. As you can tell, I love my words. The second book I read, the first book I read by choice was the dictionary. It was like, oh, that's got all the words. Wow. And I've still got it. I kidnapped it from my sister. Unless she knew she was going to need it at school that day, I had her dictionary and I read it. It took me about 2 years. I read it from about, I guess I was a little bit before 4 when mom started teaching me to read. And I was about halfway through first grade when I finally finished it.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was like, and I love playing word games. I still love learning new words. then I'll read like fiction or something like that. Sometimes I'll read fast just to practice. Anything technical, I'll read fast until I hit something, and then I'm like, hold on, let's go back and actually read that and
That
have
makes
the
sense.
feeling for it. After that, I'll usually do research, you know, something either mind related, body related, uh, where how can I make myself a better writer? How can I make myself a better musician?
Mm.
You know, I'm a trained artist. I've built houses. I mean, if you want to see my resume, it's all over the board. But the ultimate life vision has use for every single skill I've ever acquired.
Mm-hmm.
And if nothing else, I'll be able to tell people how I want them to do it because I have done it. Then I'll nap, and that can be, depending on the day, anywhere from 30 minutes to 4 hours, depending on what my body says I need that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then wake up, and I like to do, I like to start my day with that nice early meditation on the days when I'm not working at the job. I do it longer than about 30 minutes, probably about 45 minutes. And then the second one, which I also do when I get home in the mornings, is 45 minutes to sometimes an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on what's going on. And during that meditation, I'm working to keep to my mantra and keep to a feeling. But whatever comes up to be felt or dealt with, I deal with. Feel till it no longer needs to be felt, or feel it till it's starting to dissipate. I will tell
Mm.
you one little strategy here is when you're feeling a feeling and you have the time to do it, have the space to do it, push that feeling to the max. Like if you're feeling angry, push it to the point where you feel like you're going to absolutely just whatever, just set, push it to the ultimate feeling of the max. Just keep ramping it up and ramping it up and ramping it up. And the reason you do this is because that brings it all up into this place to where then it starts to dissipate. I've gotten to the maximum, and can't, the body and mind can no longer sustain that, and it begins to let it go.
Mm.
So, and I'll relax sometimes with watching some Star Wars. Uh, I like watching tarot readings, play with my
Mm.
tarot cards sometimes. Just got a new guy just to play with.
I have two questions for you. Number one, because you said you like you are someone who loves words, you read the whole dictionary. What do you think about the word educate?
Educate
Yeah.
as in an etymological breakdown
No,
or
as
as
in like I mean
concept.
like apparently the root word of educate means to draw out what is already within.
Okay.
But today we use this word as like to install something new, right? But I feel like there's something to look into about that root word.
So when I'm, a lot of people take this as insult, and I know you won't. I talk to a person's inner 7-year-old.
Mm, right.
Okay. So even though I've been using big words and all these things and everything, I've been sitting here talking to your 7-year-old.
Mm,
Now, the fact that you're on that 7-year-old state means you're not asking the same questions a 7-year-old would, but I meet that 7-year-old where they are,
mm,
find out how they learn, and then say, do you want to learn this? And if they want to learn it, then I can show them how,
mm,
how to learn from their point of view. That's one thing I love about one of Bruce Lee's statements is a teacher, if I give you my method and you copy my method, you're doing a copycat. My job as the teacher is to find out how to get you to find your own method.
mm,
So to educate, to draw out, to uh, I can fertilize the flower. I can't make it grow into the flower I want it to be. It's going to grow into the flower it is. If I force it, to
Mm-hmm.
grow into the flower I want, like the bonsai, which is an art, but
Mm.
now I force that tree to be what I want it to be, as opposed to what it wanted to be originally.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see the art of that. And my parents were both educators. Former wife is a retired educator. So if I meet you where you are, finding out what you want to learn and how you learn it, because there's a statement that says when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yep.
Well, the converse is also true. When the teacher is ready, the student appears.
Right.
So,
That could be happening right now.
yeah, that was just getting ready to say that's where we're right here. That's where we
Exactly.
are right here. So it's like, I can teach you my way of doing things, but all I want to do is I'm not the finger and I'm not the moon. I'm just the guy pointing at the moon.
Mm-mm.
Now, how do you point at the moon? Your finger's not going to be bent like mine. You're not going to hold your arm in the same position. Our eyes are not going to be in the same place. And in fact, our two eyes do not see the same things. Otherwise, we'd be, very one-dimensional seeing if they saw the exact same thing. So the pupil seeing differently from the teacher alerts the teacher to how the pupil learns.
Mm.
But the pupil's learning from the teacher. As an example, I used to have these very deep conversations, religious, philosophical conversations with my father, and he's like, "That's not what I taught you." And I said, "No, that is what you taught me. That may not be what you intended to teach me. That may not be what you were teaching,
Mm.
but this is what I learned. So you cannot tell me what you taught me. You can tell me what you intended to teach me. This
True.
is what I learned."
True.
So when it comes to doing these sessions, I look at the person not only just as a student, but as a child, and how can I get to that child and show them how they can heal themselves.
True.
And that's what my whole day is about, is learning better ways to be able to do that, learning better ways to create that relationship with my client. Because if I can lead that client to their own education, then when it comes time to jump out of the nest, yeah, they're going to hit the ground, but I can be there saying, yeah, flap a little harder. Yeah, your left arm, your left wing wasn't flapping enough. You need to flap both arms at the same speed. You need to do this with your feathers, little bird. And then when they jump off the cliff, instead of hitting the ground, they soar. And that's one of the mottos of Helpful Hawk Healing is let's soar together.
Mm.
Let's
True.
learn together. Helpful Hawk Healing, honoring human hearts. Let's take that heart and, well, here, I'll show you my card. I specifically designed it around the caduceus. And if you notice, there's a heart there and it's soaring.
But can you move
You
it
know,
down a little bit? It's kind of blurred right now because of the.
pardon
Oh
me.
yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
It's like here.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's good.
And one of the interesting synchronicities there, the heart chakra is the green, smoky green chakra. So
Mm.
I wanted that there, and I got the card printed out, and I happened to hand it to a psychologist who said, "Do you realize that the green heart is the international symbol for emotional health or mental
Whoa.
health?" And I was like, "Whoa," because I wanted the caduceus with the heart and everything like that. But then when I handed it to somebody and they said, "This is the international symbol for emotional and mental health," I was like, "Wow,
Amazing.
wow," you know,
Yeah.
that wasn't why I used it, but interesting synchronicity that's how it came to be.
It
And
sounds
my
like
life has
a.
been that.
It sounds like a Michael Singer story. Do you know Michael Singer?
I've heard the name and I'm sure I'm familiar with the work.
One of his books I'm reading now is
Okay.
the Surrender Experiment, and like basically his entire life he's just like surrendering to like just like synchronicities all day and just letting stuff happen on its own, just unfold. I think you would like the book. It's like I listen to it like in the days, especially when I feel like maybe my faith is a bit low. then I'll listen to that and just feel like, okay, no, it's okay to stop trying to control everything.
It's okay to stop trying to control yourself and just come to your center and say, okay, today, everything outside of me is out of my control. I know that. I can control my heart. I may not be able to control the thoughts the way I would like to today because the outside's getting to me. But
It makes the question appear then like in those moments when I'm trying to control stuff, like where is that coming from?
it's coming from the ego. It's coming from, I can control the environment, then I'm not going to be harmed. It
Mm.
comes from those walls we put up, to protect us. And anything that's outside that wall is out of my control. And if I can't control it, it can harm me.
I was thinking recently, is the ego just like another label for nervous system? Like, do you think it's located in there or something?
The ego, the superego, they're both in the nervous system. You know, you have the id, which is the lizard brain, as they call it. That
Mm.
is the distinct survival mechanism mode.
Mm.
In my work inside myself, I see a round table that has all the levels of my consciousness, and I talk to it. A joke I used to say is, back in the druggy booze days was, look, me and myself are arguing. I'm staying out of it. I suggest you do the same, you know? And people would go like, okay, leave Hawk alone. But now I get right in the middle of it. It's like, okay, me, myself, nope, nope. I'm right here. Yeah. But the ego is the next step up in the process
Mm.
where that is we're not born with an ego. The ego forms due to environment. And
Mm.
then superego is the projection of the ego to the outside world.
Mm.
And so it's that's a recent understanding, and I'm not certain I've got that 100% understood exactly.
Mm.
I've been reading Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
That's a great book.
Oh my gosh.
Damn.
I'm stuck in the logotherapy part, and I'm like, the first part was interesting, but Vic, I've got to read this back part a lot
Yeah.
because I want to get into Carl Jung again. But
I feel like local therapy would be so powerful to help with like addiction healing. Like especially
okay,
in those moments of withdrawal.
okay, so let's talk about addiction and how it works. Is addiction a disease?
What is disease though? Like a mental illness?
Okay, so in the 12-step program,
Mm.
they teach I have a disease called addiction.
It sounds so
I
long
do
term.
not believe that that the disease is the addiction. The
Mm.
addiction is the medication of the disease. I was a child or an adult at some point in my life. Something happened to me that caused distinct unease.
Mm.
That unease continued even after the event went away. That unease continued. I was raped when I was 4. I'm sure the person did not intend me harm. He was intending me joy. It did not work that way. That created an unease that continued after the event was over. After a while, say I cut my hand on a rusty nail.
Mm.
That was uncomfortable. That created an unease. But I haven't treated that wound. Now it's become diseased.
Mm.
Now it's a continuing process. And every day I do something to treat it and make it feel better. I'm putting, this ointment on it that takes away the pain, but is it taking away the infection?
Right, it's not.
With addiction, I'm medicating with alcohol and drugs because I don't want to feel those feelings.
Right.
When a brokenhearted child, if they can feel those feelings till they no longer need to be felt, the disease goes away. The addiction is the symptom of a disease that started as an unease. And if we can get to the root cause of it,
Mm.
then we can let it go. And that way the person doesn't stand up there and say, hi, I'm Joe, and I'm a victim. I have a disease called victimhood, and I will always be a victim because I have a disease called victimhood. And you wonder why you only have an 8 to 14% success rate, because a person has to have a very strong mind and a very strong heart to be able to get up there and do that every single night. Why don't you empower them and say, hi, I was a victim. I
Right.
was an addict. When do you get to graduate and say, I was?
True.
Hey, Joe, when's the last time you had a drink? 65 years ago. When's the last time you actually wanted a drink? 63 years ago. Then you're no longer an addict, bro. The only way you're addicted is you're addicted to coming to these meetings and talking about being a victim.
Mm.
When do you get to graduate from being a victim? When you get to graduate from being that harmed 7-year-old, or in my case, that harmed 4-year-old? When
Mm.
you get to graduate, when you get to go to the next step,
True.
you know? And the reason I'm so vehement about this is because we're talking about it at this level. This does not solve the problem. It should not take 20 to 30 years. You don't go to a heart surgeon with a heart problem and he says, okay, how are you feeling today? How was your day today? You want him to open your chest up, pull that heart out, fix the problem, put it back in, and now you're fixed and you go on with your life.
Mm.
You know, well, that's the same way. That's my attitude is. I want to go in. I want to help you fix that problem, teach you how to fix that problem and any more that may arise, and get you on your way so that you are empowered. I never want to see you again for the same situation. If I see you again, I want to see you walking down the street, grateful, happy, joyful, and thankful. You come up and give me a big hug.
Mm.
Hey, now do you have another situation you want to work on? You know, okay, you had the cut there. We cured the tetanus. You broke your arm. Okay, let's fix the broken arm.
Right.
Okay, you bumped your head. Let's put some stitches in there. I want you to heal and go on with your life. I don't want to see you again. I don't want it to take 20 to 30 years. When you go to see the heart surgeon or you go
Right.
to treat cancer, you don't want it to take 20, 30 years. You want it done now.
Right.
How
It's like
can we do it now?
we're not looking for returning clients. We want to just transform you and have you go on your way.
Right. I'm not looking for recidivism. You know, the program I'm working on will walk my client daily through steps so that they never, once they get to a certain point, they never have to use those steps again unless something comes up. And then they've got a toolbox and they can go back to that toolbox and say, okay, which tool do I need to deal with this particular situation?
Mm. Right.
You know, I mean, you could tell I get, but it's because it just, I've learned how, and now I'm so excited about being able to give that to people. If I could give it away for free and still do me and the life I'm working to live,
Mm.
traveling the world and giving it away, I would do so. Unfortunately, the way our world works is we exchange value,
Yeah.
and I can be a mendicant monk walking around, you know, healing one-on-one, or I can get in front of groups of people and help them, and or I can work, I can and will work one-to-one, but there
Mm.
has to be an exchange of value. And also this brings me to another point, is I'm working on a thing called charitymind.org
Mm.
to be able to have a thing, because of the true healing modalities we have out there that are thousands of years of proven track record, even though the West doesn't agree with it, or
Yeah.
the United States doesn't agree with it, but there's proven track record of these things working for thousands of years. And it's not covered by insurance. And these
Right.
people that desperately need the help haven't got the money to do it, just because they're barely being able to pay their bills.
That's true.
Meanwhile, these people that have money and are donating to charities, well, they can, there's a thing called charity water.
Yeah.
This guy, you know who I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about,
Yep.
Scott. Okay, I want to use his model. I want to get in contact with him, find out how to use his model to be
Mm.
able to do that with mental and emotional health, where the provider is provided their fee, which is going to be set up to where it is fair. Not $10,000 an hour because I can get it. No, it's a fair amount of money.
Mm.
The person that's donating can donate to the administration. They can donate to the specific client if they wish. If I was asked to be the CEO of it, I would take no money from it, but I would put Helpful Hawk healing into the mix of providers there and would take remuneration there, but I would not take one penny for running it.
Mm.
Have a team that runs it, and I'm the face of it if necessary. I would rather someone else do that. Here's an idea. Please, somebody take this and run with it so that people that need help can get it.
Mm.
I deal with homeless people coming in where I work every day. I'm currently working in a gas station as I'm working on this, and I deal with
Nice.
homeless people coming in there every day, and some of them really want help. And I've been through rehab 14 times, but they can't afford to pay me, and I can't afford to take the time off work to work with them. How do I get me to them because they want it?
Mm.
So how do we get this in front of the people that have the money, that are willing to help them, that
Yeah.
have the big enough parts? And how do we get the people that have the healing modalities to be able to be in contact with the people that don't have the money and want the help?
Mm.
Now, and there are people out there that don't want the help. They'd rather be the addict.
That's true.
They love that comfort zone of victimhood. That's all they've ever known. And hey, I'm not going to push you out of your tree. But for those who want help, how do we get them to the point where they can get help?
Mm-hmm.
How do
That's
we
fair.
make it to, because insurance ain't going to cover it. There's no recidivism. If I heal you, there ain't no money coming in.
I don't know how it is in Kentucky, but I heard in West Virginia there's like a heroin epidemic. Like that would be so useful over there, or even in like Toronto,
Heroin,
Canada.
meth. Let's put Dixie Highway. I have watched Dixie Highway. I have lived near Dixie Highway, U.S. Highway 60,
Yeah.
most of my life, and that is known as methamphetamine highway. So
Whoa.
meth, heroin, pills, all these opiates.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the question: is how is it getting here? If it's a
Mm.
two-step process, because you take opium to make what is that they give people for pain in the hospital?
Morphine.
Morphine, and then that gets turned into heroin. That's a two-step
True, right?
process, right? Because I took the opium,
Mm.
turned it into morphine, then I took that and refined it into heroin. That's
Mm.
a two-step major process that requires a lab.
True.
It's a lot more complicated to make heroin than it is to make methamphetamine, because you can make methamphetamine out of all kinds of crap.
Mm.
So why is that so prevalent? Why are
True,
those
right?
pain pills so prevalent? Where's the source of that?
Mm.
Not going to go into that.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah, and I don't think it's an international topic we need to be recording on. But I think we both know the answer.
Yeah.
But as far as helping these people get past their problems, if we can, why aren't we?
Mm. Right. That goes back to that topic again. Shit.
Yeah.
uh, I want to ask you, I want to ask you, what do you think about Dr. David Hawkins? Have you heard of him?
With the Hawkins scale,
Is that the one
uh,
with like shame is at the very bottom?
yes.
And
I
yeah.
have not studied the man, so I cannot give you any definitive discussion on this topic. I like the Hawkins scale. I've looked at it, and that's what's got me, continuing to step up. But I have no experience of the man's work or reading anything about him or studying anything about him, so I cannot give you any. I
Hmm.
will not attempt to do that.
I'm gonna send you a screenshot of just one of his letting go method because I think it could be useful also for your clients.
But that would be awesome. Send it to hawk at helphawkhealing.com. That would be awesome.
Sweet, sweet. Also on that scale, like so like for people who don't know, like this scale, it looks like a pyramid, right? And no, not a pyramid. It could be even
It's
like
a
a
it's an
straight line.
inverted it's an inverted triangle.
It's an inverted triangle. And at the very bottom, I think is shame, followed by guilt. I forget what is next, but in the middle of the pyramid, is it courage, right?
Acceptance, I believe.
Acceptance.
I think so. I think it's getting to the point where it's acceptance and courage, or right, bravery, or whatever, right there.
Hmm.
I mean, I've got a picture of it somewhere, and I'm not going to fool with trying to find it right now. But
And the
you know,
very it keeps going up, and the very top, I think it says what enlightenment or bliss or something, but um
unconditional love, I believe,
that makes sense.
enlightenment, bliss. Unconditional love, enlightenment, bliss, samadhi. It's
Right.
it's yeah,
And the
it's
way that you would go down the scale, like in your, let's say, energy level, is what, by complaining, I think.
it's yeah, that's one way of doing it. That's one way of doing
That's
it.
one way, right? Like, and but then the opposite, if you start to feel gratitude, then it starts to take you up, right?
Yes, I believe I have heard that discussed. For
Hmm.
me, gratitude is the upper. A
Hmm.
lot of people don't realize this, but your brain makes dopamine, which is what is the triggered by heroin and morphine and all that. Your
Yeah.
brain makes delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. And in fact, there are 73 or 78 receptors in the human body for it, which is the active ingredient in marijuana.
Mm.
If I'm not mistaken, the brain makes two of the three ingredients in the psilocybin mushrooms.
Nice.
Um, your brain makes dimethyltryptamine, which is the active ingredient in ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Most of the chemicals that we bring in from outside to get to these trance states, that get us to these metamorphic states, our brain's already making.
Yeah.
So it's like, all of these things we're using externally, when we can produce internally if we know the proper method for doing so.
That's true.
And just simply smiling for 17 seconds.
Nice.
I would say 15, but 17 seconds.
Uh-huh.
Just simply smiling. That starts a cascade of dopamine, oxytocin. Can't remember the other. There's like six major feel good drugs just from smiling.
That's amazing.
And then there's also an interesting little thing here where the hug, and this
Mm.
is a little secret I'm going to give everybody. And for you lovers out there, listen closely. Give the hug you want to receive. You put your
Mm.
arms around somebody and you project the energy you're wanting to receive from that hug into the other person, and they're projecting their energy into it. Wow. And girls have always told me, and they've told their friends, and they've told my sisters whom I was in school with, your brother is an awesome kisser. And I always give the kiss I want to receive.
Ah, ah.
So if you're giving what you want to receive, then the other person puts that in there, and you start doing this little thing like the Ankh. If you study the Ankh, and we're not going into that here, it begins a cyclical effect where both those energies, what I'm giving you and what you're giving me, begin this thing, and now it becomes this ball of energy that just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds.
Dang. That
And
could be applied even like throughout a relationship, like show your partner the love that you want to receive.
oh, of course, when you do your life book, John and Missy, they're so cute. They're sitting on the couch together and they're constantly kissing each other's cheeks and stuff like that. And they specifically, under love relationship, they go through, this is how I want to treat my partner every day.
Mm-mm.
That the life book is, God, I love my life book. I've got a life plan. I've got a 5-year plan. I've got a 2-year plan. I've got a today plan. I know where
That's
I'm going for the rest of my life. Now, how do I take those steps? What am I doing for the next 2 years? What am I doing for the next 5 years? What am I doing after that? What are the
mm-mm.
stages to get me to this when I'm at the age of 250 years old? And people say, you ain't going to live there. I'm like, stick around and find out. Because
Nice.
I'm the Scorpio. You say, you can't do that. And I'm like, yeah, well, you're watching me.
True.
Don't tell me what I can't do. You're telling me what you can't do. I reject your reality and supplant it with mine.
That is true. Might as well choose your own paradigm.
I mean, there's, records, anecdotal records of people living up to 300, 400 years.
Yeah.
So why not?
Why not
If you
try?
eat right and treat yourself right, it's all a belief system.
Right.
When I find out there's nobody for me to teach anymore, fine, and I'll let go. But
Mm.
until then, why not keep going? Why not
True.
keep teaching? And why not do it in a body that I enjoy living in,
Yeah.
that is young? I mean, people all the time are guessing me. They're like looking at me and I'm looking them straight in the eyes. I'm projecting my age to them. And they're like, I don't know, 30, 35. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting ready to turn 56 in November, and they're like, wow, really? I'm like, yeah,
Nice.
yoga means union.
Awesome. I have one more question from my friend Shasha. She's
Okay.
asking, what can we do when we feel that we are swaying off of our life path?
So my motto of life is one of my mottos: a millimeter or a mile progress every day. However, standing still is not regression. It is strategic observation for tactical implementation. When you feel you're going off your life path, stop, stand still. You know, Sun Tzu, the nephew of Lao Tzu, teaches us in the art of war. If you keep going and going and going and going, you can get so deep into enemy territory that now you're surrounded. So you go so far and you stop. That's what in that daily habit towards goals. That's me taking a moment, stopping. What have I achieved today? Where have I gone today?
Mm.
Take a moment, stop, breathe, look around. Where am I? What is going on around me? What can I do to move back to that path? Do I need to find somebody that has a different map than I've got? Because obviously the map I've got is going off. What do I need to do? Where can I go? Stop, stand still, take a minute, look around, find out where you are. Now I know I can walk straight that way, or I can walk at an angle. I'm still making progress, but I can walk back at an angle and get back to the path. And your path
True.
is going to do this. It's never a straight line, and it's never a straight walk. Your path is doing this and this at the same time. So you know, it's all over the place. So, just Shasha, stop for a minute, breathe, and look around at where you are.
Nice. Get grounded. I guess like yeah, like see where you are. Does this match where you were planning to go? Should adjustments be made? Yeah, that's awesome.
And one thing you can do to keep from walking off the path is when somebody asks you to do something, does this keep me on my path or does this take me away from it?
Right.
Hey, let's go to the casino tonight. That's way off my path. If I guarantee you, from my one experience of going to a casino where all I did was drink beer and watch people throw away money,
Hmm.
is if I'm in a casino from now on, they're paying me to play my music there, or there's some kind of something going on and I'm making a presentation there. They're paying me to be there. I'm
True.
not going to be paying to be there.
You could be coaching there.
Yeah, I would hope that the people that are looking for my particular type of coaching are not going to a casino.
Do you know what I was thinking? Like I was thinking, there might be like, have you heard of Ken Honda?
Yes, I love his
The
quest, bro. I love his
dude,
quest.
that's a
Happy
powerful
money.
quest.
I love my happy money.
That's a powerful quest because like the money EQ course actually heals like so many of your past triggers, not even that you didn't think were related to money, but actually it heals it as a byproduct.
Do you remember the little thing from the little kid that said "Thank you, Easter Bunny" in the Peeps commercial or whatever?
Oh no, no,
So when
no.
I get done withdrawing money at the bank or spending
Ah.
money, I'm like, "Thank you, happy money.
Nice.
Thank you, happy money." Going back to that little kid who overheard mom and dad, "There's no money in the Band-Aid box. Don't know where we're getting the next meal from, but there's no money in the Band-Aid box." Now that when I take out money or I spend money, I say, "Thank you, happy money."
That's
You know,
awesome.
and
That's
I'll drive down the road thinking about that cash sitting in the wallet. Thank you, happy money. Thank you, happy money.
that's a good idea. That's awesome.
Make it a celebration to exchange that value. When I'm walking out of Walmart after buying my groceries, I hit the five and I'm like, yeah, thank you, happy money.
Right.
I'm going to go home and I'm going to eat some happy money.
Like Ken Honda says like arigato in, arigato out. So awesome.
Yes, yes, yes. I want to meet the man.
Me
He's got
too.
to be fun just to sit and eat noodles with.
Dude, let's meet
Yeah,
him. Let's just manifest it.
yeah, me and you.
Yeah, let's
You
go hang
know,
out with him. I mean, we're here in
I've got a,
Asia.
yeah, I've got a friend that lives in Vietnam that I haven't met yet. She's in the yoga group,
For real?
Tao Tapashi. And so, hey, I want to go meet her someday. So, hey, why not go see Nick and Tao and, hang out?
That's
Hey,
awesome.
let's hop over to Japan and see Ken Honda.
Yeah. Wait, which city is your friend in?
Uh, I think she's in Saigon.
Oh, dude, me too. Shit. Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I might be able to connect the two of you somehow.
Let, let me know. Like, I live in District 2, Saigon.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So, Nick.
Send you a
Yeah,
selfie with your friend.
yeah, I'd like to. District 2, Saigon. And contact Tao. Definitely. Yeah, because I mean, I don't know how long she's been meditating with Ananda Marga, but I know she is very much a yogi. And I'll tell
Yo,
you, I, I don't know where I would be without yoga. Currently, this is the book I'm reading as far as,
what
whoops,
can we? Is that Don Miguel Ruiz?
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yo, man, he's the man.
Yeah. My favorite book is The Fifth Agreement by Don Jose, which is, he takes it a
Mm.
step further. But then this was given to me in 1988, and it's the Bhagavad Gita.
Oh, nice. There you
Yeah,
go.
so this little book travels with me.
Cool.
There are certain books that travel with me. I have a copy of the Red Letter Edition New Testament of the King James. I don't read pretty much anything in it except what Jesus said. I might read some of the verses to find out why he was saying it, but I read it. I read the Bhagavad Gita. I've got the Fifth Agreement. I've got a book on Spanish. I've got a book on sign language. Um, I've got a copy of the Yamas and Niyamas. It's called The Guide to Human Contact.
Sweet, sweet. All right, yeah. I just wanted to like I've had some episodes just like end suddenly because of my time limit. So I wanted to make sure that we properly end this one.
I really, I needed this conversation. You can't imagine how much I needed this night. So thank you so much, and thank you to your friend for chiming
Yes.
in. Yeah,
Thank you,
that
Shasha.
was awesome question, Shaksha. Namaskar very much. I really needed this today.
Wow.
I can't explain how much, and I'm not going to. Thank you so much.
It's just
Uh,
so many synchronicities that happen right now. And like if you check, I wrote something down in my notes before calling you today, and one of them said like I look forward to meeting more coaches that I can work with in the future. And then we just met like a
yeah,
few minutes later.
yeah. Well, FTP for life, baby.
Right after pay. Oh, but dude, you know what's funny? That like I didn't even join one of their like I didn't watch any of their courses, but I was just so happy to be in the tribe.
Well, and one cool thing about it is I've gone on and I, I'm actually going through the course, the
That's
group
awesome.
study, and it's incredible where things are going. But
Wow.
just meeting you in the tribe and having this happen, you know, I mean, just from what they provided, look what happened.
Right. Yeah.
So, thank you so much. And thank you to all of your viewers who will see this. I appreciate it so much.
Awesome. I
And
look
if you
forward
need to get a hold of
to
me, hawk at helpwithhawkhealing.com.
there you go. Awesome. And for the next time I'll be sure to gather more questions from more people here in Saigon.
Let me know. I'll be glad to come back anytime, brother.
Awesome. That's
Just let me
amazing.
know.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
if you want to have a specific structured, how do we do this thing? That would be cool too.
Awesome.
I don't mind doing a structured session on, like, if you check out my YouTube channel right now, I'm specifically working on how do we let go of sorrow, and I'll tell you
Right.
one of the major ways to let go of sorrow, and then
Mm,
we're going to get off here. Quit saying I'm sorry for every little thing, unless someone is dead or you committed a specific physical harm.
mm,
Excuse me, pardon me, forgive me will work just as well, and you're not telling your consciousness how sorry you are. Stop telling your consciousness you're sorry. I'm not
mm.
sorry because I picked up the pack of cheese you wanted, or I cut in front of you in line. Excuse me.
True. I'm sorry. It means like I feel guilty, right?
I'm experiencing sorrow.
Right.
Has anybody died?
Right.
No. Did I physically harm you? No. I apologize. I seek forgiveness if I have.
Hmm.
But, I'm sorry your mother died. I'm sorry I broke your leg.
Hmm.
I apologize and seek forgiveness. Otherwise, if I stepped in front of you, excuse me, I'm not experiencing sorrow because I stepped in front of you.
That's
It
true.
was a minor manner faux pas or the etiquette. Excuse me, pardon me, forgive me.
That's true. Like for me, it's just like
That's,
I have to intentionally like change that because it's been so autopilot. It just comes out like, oh, sorry.
well, I mean, say I'm sorry. Well, tell them why you're saying you're sorry.
Mm-mm.
I ran into you and busted your nose open. You're bleeding all over your face. I am sorry. I made your nose bleed, you know, but
Mm.
not for every little thing.
Yeah, true.
I shut the door in your face. Tell him you're sorry. No, say excuse me.
Mm-mm.
All goes back to how are we programming the child?
That's true. That's true.
So,
But
brother,
thank you so much
it's
for
been
today.
awesome. Thank you, and namaskar.
Oh, before you go, I think we should. I think everybody wants to know this. In Kentucky, does KFC not taste as good as like a mom and pop chicken restaurant?
Not anymore.
Oh, really?
In the old days when the Colonel was alive and they were using the 11 herbs and spices, yeah, it was really good stuff. But then KFC sold the Yum, and they didn't sell them the secret recipe.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
and
Didn't
now
know.
they're on the downhill. And
Dang.
and since I've gone vegan, no fried chicken tastes good to me.
Oh, you're
You
vegan.
know,
Dang.
yeah, unless if I'm sick, the way I'm really sick is I'm using chicken bouillon or chicken soup.
Mm.
When I came back from out west in 20 and asked my dad if I could eat his chicken soup, he's like, "Whatever you got, don't talk to me. Don't see me for a few days,"
Uh,
because he knew. It's like, if you're eating chicken soup, you're sick. I don't want anything to do with you.
wait, how long have you been vegan?
That started the August, September-ish of 17, 18.
Okay, true.
So going on 6 years.
That's awesome.
Uh, and I'm not going to pull my shirt off and show you my physique, but yeah, go look at how many muscle builder, bodybuilder champions are out there that have been vegan since birth.
Damn,
Yeah, yeah,
that's pretty cool.
yeah. So, all right.
All right, thank you so much. Until
Thank
next
you,
time.
sir. Namaskar.
See you in Vietnam.